When you consider that stripping has always been a controversial profession, it's remarkable that Gypsy was able to gain such a high level of public acceptance. But what about the private woman? Well, by the magic of television, I've come to San Francisco, where I've tracked down a man who probably knew her better than anyone else. This is a great day for me, because I'm finally going to meet Eric Lee Preminger, who was Gypsy Rose Lee's only child, and he wrote the most wonderful book, which I've read and reread and read since it first came out. Who better than Gypsy's son to give me a personal picture of the great lady? And apparently, he's got a storeroom full of his mother's stuff. So guess who's going to be searched on the way out? Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. Have a nice day.
And you, take it easy. Bye. He's jolly, isn't he?
Bye.
Bye. Talk about over-egg you apart. Gypsy was married 3 times, but never to Eric's father. Oh, a lovely house. He was the result of a brief liaison between Gypsy and the Hollywood director, Otto Preminger. But, according to Eric's book, he was brought up not knowing who his father was.
Hi, Paul.
Oh, Eric, what a pleasure to meet you. This has been a long time coming, honestly. Hello.
Linda.
Lovely to meet you, Linda.
Nice to meet you.
Let me take your coat.
Oh, thank you very much. I've adored your mother since day one.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Gypsy didn't retire from stripping until Eric was 12. And through all those years, he never left her side.
Let me show you something that I found.
He must have had an extraordinary childhood.
I was at a coffee shop where I found this, which is a picture from...
The Bristol Hippodrome.
The Bristol Hippodrome when I was 6 years old.
Is that you?
That's me.
Look at this. Who's she on with? Morecambe
Claire.
and Wise? Now, Morecambe and Wise became the biggest stars on British television.
Really?
Yes, and they toured with Gypsy. Did you find it strange to watch your mother stripping?
No.
No.
When she was home, she was very modest. You know, you never saw her without her robe or with dress, but there's no time for modesty when she was working. Because I lived in the dressing room with her, I learned about all her tricks, of course. The wonderful thing was this brassiere that she fastened out of dental floss. She would take a piece of dental floss and wrap it around and then tie it on these pasties, and they would sort of pull her breasts up.
And you couldn't see the dental floss?
No, because she covered it with body paint.
You do realise now there's people making notes back in England saying, right, I know what to do. Now the boobs are sagging. Dental floss round the nipple.
Dental floss is the secret.
I think you've started something, Eric. I tell you, in the UK, the Gypsy Rose Lee boob lift. Now I want to know what Gypsy was like away from the spotlight. And helpfully, it turns out that Eric wasn't her only travel companion. Ever the self-publicist, wherever she went, so did her movie camera.
Would you like to see a few?
Of course, I'd love to see them.
Oh, all right,
Yeah.
let me show you a few.
OK, please do. Eric has miles of private footage which very few people have ever seen. Oh, how wonderful.
My mother was an avid fisher.
And is this you?
That's me. Look at that size of that thing.
I mean, this is wonderful stuff. Look at having a bath out in the open air.
Now, this was the only bathtub on this carnival. She used to fill it with leftover ice water from the Coca-Cola machine, let it warm up in the sun, and she froze in it.
For a fan like me, these glimpses of Gypsy are like manna from heaven. They're evocative of an era that's long gone. That's
Long
it.
gone.
Long gone. But this was Eric's life, and, all things considered, it's a miracle that he's turned out all right.
Doing laundry with the bearded lady.
Is that a woman?
That's a woman.
Oh, my God.
She was married to the alligator man.
It's just, I mean, you couldn't make this up, could you? Now, I'm going to ask you the ultimate question. What was your mother like?
She was an acquired taste.
Yeah.
But she...
But I'm an acquired taste, Eric, as well.
You know, it's what you saw was really what you got. Direct, straightforward, extremely funny. Did not suffer fools.
Yeah.
and insisted on getting what she wanted.
How old were you when you found out who your father was?
Well, when I actually found out, I was 17. I'm living in New York in my own apartment at 17, and I've had my girlfriend move in with me.
Yeah.
Now,
did she approve of that?
No.
No.
I said, I don't see how you can object. And she said, I've lived my life beyond reproach. And I said, well, then how come I'm a bastard?
That must have been like a slap in the face.
That was probably the cruelest thing I ever did to her.
Yeah.
And I said, who is my father? What she said was, it's none of your business.
How did you feel when you said it was my father and she said it's none of your business?
I understood exactly what she meant. And it was, who she slept with was none of my business. And the fact that that happened to be my father really didn't occur to her at the time, because she looked at things from her point of view. She was a star.
Yeah.
And I just accepted it because it was the way she always was.
Yeah. And he was quite a formidable.
Eric's remarkably accepting of what seems to be appalling behaviour on Gypsy's part. But then, given what she went through in her own childhood, maybe it's okay to forgive her a few flaws.
Was she always Gypsy Rose Lee, or was she ever Louise Hovick?
She was Gypsy Rose Lee. That's who she was.
Yeah.
Louise Hovick, that was gone.
Yeah.
Why go back to somebody who's dumpy and plain when you can be somebody who's glamorous
and fabulous? Exactly.
I guess it comes as no surprise that the stripper raised by a domineering mother had a few issues of her own.
And it's up here, Eric.
Yes, what's your head?
But then, who doesn't? But what Gypsy accomplished is extraordinary.
Wow, Eric, look at all this.
I know.
Look at this beautiful sculpture.
Yes, that, for a while we had that in the living room, but it was sort of like having Mother looking over my shoulder.
From difficult beginnings, she made her life beautiful.
It's her portrait from Sardi's.
Fabulous.
And for anyone who's still thinking of looking down their noses at strippers, get over yourself.
It's a record of where she's been.
They're wonderful people.
And because you're such a dog lover.
Oh no, look at the puppies. Oh my Lord.
But I think Gypsy's greatest legacy is her impact on the world of striptease.
Do you recognize this?
Oh my God.
She raised it out of sleazy burlesque houses and turned it into an art form.
You'd be able to twirl it.
Give me 5 minutes, I'll be out there with it.
To Eric, this room is just an attic full of his mother's old stuff.
Wherever there's anything of my mother's, there are her gloves, because...
Fabulous.
But to me, it represents the life of a true showbiz legend.
Good Lord.
And a true idol of mine.
It's such an important piece of theatre history. And I love what those gloves have seen. You know, where they've been flung, you know, what she's used them for to her best advantage. And it's just great to see this stuff. Thank you for showing me all this, Eric.
My pleasure.
Honestly.
Thanks for doing the show.
Are you sure? I couldn't think of anybody else I'd want to do a programme about than your marvellous mother. There should be a museum to this great lady, Eric.